Welcome back to the Real Estate Roundup. I'm Pat Davish with OCNJHomes.com.
And I'm Haenn with Burger Realty.
If you guys can remember, we go over the Ocean City's top new listings. Today, we're looking at 2025 as a year in review. We're going to go over the top 3 sales and look at the numbers from the previous year compared to 2024 and where we're at, and then give our insights to what we're looking forward to in 2026.
Yes, so we're going to give you a brief recap of how many have sold, the average sold price, go over those top 3 sales from last year. I'm excited to be back. It's been too long.
It's been too long for a busy end of the year there.
Yeah.
We took a little bit of a hiatus. Some people noticed, some didn't, but here we are again.
Here we are back, and we're going to start pumping out some more videos.
Mm-hmm. So looking back at 2025, we had a significant rise in sales overall. 2025, we saw 641 units sold compared to 2024, where there was only 558. That's a 13% increase year over year. You want to go over the sold numbers?
Yeah, so the average sold price for 2025 was $1,403,700. It was an 11.4% increase from $1,243,367. So, we were seeing more units sold this past year and for a higher average sold price.
And then the average days on market did climb a little bit, and I would say that was probably because of the inventory. There was less to choose from and more active market, but it was only a 4-day difference on average. 56 days compared to 52 last year. Last year we saw the inventory really get eaten up, but there's even more sales this year, so
yes.
It felt like it was moving pretty quickly. It was a pretty active year.
I think this is it's something interesting to note. This is the first year and 5+ years that we've actually gone up in number of units sold. Every year it has decreased a little bit.
Yeah, and it wasn't because of the inventory. Because the inventory was actually, I would say, has remained steady or even a little bit lower.
Yep.
At this point, right now on the market, we only have 205 active residential listings. It's not including commercial. If you added the commercial, it'd be maybe 215, 220. But just looking at that, since 2019, 2020, we haven't seen over 300, and it's consistently decreased year over year.
It has, right? It's been hovering in those low 200s, and I think that the number one question I get asked is when do all the listings come out? Mm-hmm. It's like they just kind of get sprinkled in now.
Yeah.
There is no influx. All of a sudden we're at 300 listings. We're always in those low 200s, and the good properties get picked off really quickly. It is January. It is freezing out, snowing, and we're still seeing properties sell quickly right now. It seems like there's been a little bump in the market since the Eagles, are no longer in the playoffs.
Unfortunately, have lost.
But there was, highest and best bids last week on the property. It's very active down here.
Yeah, we're still seeing multiple bids, even in what is supposed to be our down season. And in the last few years, where we look towards the spring as a big bump in business, it's kind of been pretty level. And, it's been level through the summer. And then we kind of see an uptick in the fall. And again, we're seeing it in the winter. And it has not followed the usual trends that we're used to seeing in our market.
And that's why it's very important to have 2 local guys who have boots on the ground that are watching the market trends that can advise you on that. Because there are a lot of people right now that are waiting until the spring market, when right now it is very active.
Well, a big thing has always been, when's this market going to crash? A lot of people are on the fence waiting for that to happen with all these things outside that are happening in politics, the forces that are at B that create the different market changes. But the thing that comes down to basic economics is supply and demand, and we just have a ton of demand and there's been no supply. So it's been that way for pretty much the last 3-4 years, where the inventory's been so low, but our demand has always been there, and the interest in the island has still been there. So
yes.
It's, when's it going to change? Until there's an influx in inventory, which does not happen overnight, will take years, especially at this point, because in 2005 they had quadruple amount of listings when the market was hot. They had an average around like 800 plus, and we're consistently under 300, pushing down to 200 now. So, it's I don't see much changing, and I guess that brings us to into our outlook of what's going to happen in 2026. And I think we're going to see more of the same. I think we're not going to see as many units sold because the inventory is so tight. I think we're going to see the numbers be higher, slightly higher. I think we're going to see maybe another 5 to 8% in sales higher, and that's where I see it going.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, a lot of speculation, like in the real estate industry, this past year was really tough. Limited inventory, high interest rates, all that. But you can see, like, in the numbers, it was a really good year in Ocean City, and I do think that trend's going to continue, short of something, like you said, catastrophic happening. Some sort of natural disaster, is somebody in control doing something.
Another COVID that really spiked the numbers.
But I think we'll continue to see the low inventory, high demand, especially as we're going to start coming into the summer months. Because that is historically, people start thinking the beach and wanting to do things.
Yeah. So it's, it was an interesting year. It really was, and I really think we're going to have more of the same in 2026. It's going to be a tough market. It's going to be multiple bids. When the right thing comes out, there's going to be a lot of people on it, and the demand is still there. So.
And they're finally going to lower interest rates.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. So now we're going to be looking at the top 3 sales of 2025. Things to note here before we even jump into them is in 2024 we had 27 properties sell over $3 million. In 2025 there was 42. So that's showing the influxes of where these prices have gone. And the top sale in 2024 was $7.2 million. So I'll let you start with number 3.
So number 3, and there's a theme here. These are all bayfront, open bayfronts,
which has exploded this year.
So number 3 is 16 Marshall Lane. This was brand new construction development by Chris Davish on a 50 by 105. This was a lagoon, but it's one of the end finger lagoons there. Looking out, having like the sunny side, you call that?
Yep.
And that sold for $8,900,000.
Yeah.
So it just crushed last year's.
Yeah.
And that's number 3 on the list.
Significantly. And that was a brand new construction. Number 2 is 283 Bayshore Drive. This sold for $9.5 million. This is a 5,000 square foot home on a one-of-a-kind lot at the end of Bayshore Drive on the open bay. This was I wouldn't say an older home. What was that? 15 years at least or so. So it was a little dated, but it was a one-of-a-kind property at the end of Bayshore Drive that you just can't duplicate. And just, that's what drew that number.
Yeah, that was a generational home. That amount of waterfront frontage was incredible.
Yeah.
And then the number 1 on the list, so for the highest sale of 2025, was another brand new construction. This is 2012 Glenwood Drive. It sold for $9,550,000.
Just a little bit more.
Just a little bit more. Brand new construction, Elcon developers, very high end. I think when people first saw that listing last year in 2024 come out, they all kind of thought, he's nuts, he's crazy. But you see here that there's all these big numbers that sold.
And this actually sold pre-construction.
Yes.
It was not finished. It sold prior to finishing. And now we're seeing the new inventory that is coming out that is well over 10 million. So the numbers are creeping up. So it's, these are significant sales, and it has jumped year over year significantly.
Another thing to note is that these were all bayfront homes, but the rest of the island followed suit. 3 bedrooms on West, Asbury, beachfront homes, everything was appreciated.
Yeah.
And especially the bayfront market is just exploding. We harp on the bayfront. A lot on Glenwood just sold for $5.5 million.
Yeah.
Right next door to this one, basically.
Yeah, we've been saying that the last 2 years. We just saw where the new projects were going, and the numbers, one after another, just kept creeping up, and now we're at I would say Avalon level. So close to. Well, it just pushes them up higher. But the numbers have been staggering, and they've jumped year over year. It's been incredible. So looking forward to a great 2026.
Yeah, looking forward to a great 2026. Keeping busy. So you see here our the top 3 sales in Ocean City, and I'm curious to see what 2026 holds.
Me too.
So we appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thank you for being patient with us while we closed out the 2025. We are back. We're going to be here in weekly kicking out these videos. Please make sure to like, subscribe. Again, I am Gray Haenn with Burger Realty.
I'm Pat Davish with OCNJHomes.com.